Greetings, back with another one. All right, I'm back on the dark place, and this is an article speaking about that lunatic who said horrible stuff about the Charlie Kirk assassination, all that stuff. And it says Sucker Punch finally condemns Drew Harrison of Charlie Kirk comments with odd statement after a week of gamer backlash. Like I said, I knew this was going to happen. I knew this was going to happen because I mean people are starting to see like this. Once again, like I said last time, this ain't the way. It's alright to disagree, but once you start doing stuff like this, let me stop rambling. I'm just gonna just go ahead and read the article with you guys, and then I'll plug in my opinions like I always do. Hajime. It says after a solid week of silence, Sucker Punch Productions has finally broke its silence on the firing of longtime senior artist Drew Harrison, who was removed after making a disturbing social media post about Charlie Kirk's assassination. This acknowledgement comes after a full week of gamers flooding the comments on every post and video for the upcoming PlayStation exclusive Ghost of Yotai. But the statement released by the studio left some scratching their heads. And it says the background, Harrison's comments. Drew Harrison was a concept artist who had worked with Sucker Punch on Ghost of Yotai. On the night of Charlie Kirk's assassination, Harrison posted a message on social media platform Blue Sky. Now, I think Blue Sky is, like I said, I'm not on social media, so I don't know. But from what I've heard from people, I think Blue Sky is a bunch of people who predominantly, lean left. And you already know how they feel about us on the right. So, and like I said, if you want to, express your differences and your disagreements with people, that's fine. But what I just don't want to see this coming from either side. To be honest with you, I don't want to see people championing other people getting harmed. I mean that's like I said, it just seems like we're just going back to this radicalism, man. And I don't want to see it, and I'm sure a lot of you don't want to see it either. But it's just sad that there's just people out there that just want you put away because you don't think like they do. It's sad that it's gotten like this, but it says Blue Sky that may read as celebrating the act of political violence. And there you go, this account, this person, and it says Ghost of Yote now facing boycott from right and left after Drew Harrison Charlie Kirk controversy. I said because, like I said, because there's a lot of people who, like I said, a lot of I'm willing to say that a lot of us don't want anybody hurt. Like I said, we just put our opinions out there, our views out there. Some going to agree with this, some won't. But and recently they did some poll of people, like whichever way they lean and stuff like that, and they were doing like age brackets and stuff like that, and it was people they were basically asking questions like people who think political violence is acceptable. And what I've noticed is that it was mostly the younger generation, and it was mostly coming from the left side of the country. I mean that's what the poll showed. It was mostly younger people like in their 20s, something like that, and these people kind of like more liberal, because it said liberal and then it was like very liberal or something like that. I don't remember. I can't remember, but it was you had liberal, very liberal, and then you had people who were like kind of like in between, and then you had conservative or very conservative. I can't remember, but for most people, that from what this poll was showing, I don't know how accurate it is, but from what this poll was showing, it was saying that younger people who lean left kind of find this type of stuff acceptable. And something needs to be done about that. Like, bleh. But it says the reaction was swift and furious. Gamers across the platform, political spectrum, condemned the posts, with conservatives calling it proof of a toxic culture inside gaming, and others blasting it as reckless and insensitive. Within 24 hours, Sony confirmed. Can't read today. Sony confirmed Harrison had been removed from the project. Harrison was defiant in her ousting, claiming that she would do it all again, 100 times stronger. And this is what I'm saying. Like all of these corporations, these companies, y'all really need to start, really doing a deep analysis of who you're hiring. I like this is, like I said, it's a good move by Sucker Punch because, like I said, Ghost of Yode. Like I said, the first game was amazing. I had the first game on PlayStation 4. It was a beautiful game. It's one of the greatest games I've ever played. I mean, just a combination of things that that I've always admired. Oriental culture, Japanese culture, stuff like that, and just from a cultural aspect, I loved it for that reason. It was a beautiful game, and I'm willing to say I think that Ghost of Yode is going to be beautiful too. But unfortunately, like I said in my last video, a lot of people are not going to want to throw money at people who hate them. I mean, because like I said, this Harrison person is only one person. Who knows how many people who work for Sucker Punch who feel the same way that she did, and then they're just not saying anything. They were like, oh, well, wait a minute, this person got canned, so they got sacked. So let me move differently. So you just don't know. You just don't know. But these companies should know. And like I said, this is. Like I said, even though I really don't care for social media stuff, and that's the reason why I'm not on it. But the positive is that idiots like this are just outing themselves. So these companies can know who they're hiring and what these people really believe and what they really think. So, I think this is a good move for Sucker Punch. Will it save them come Ghost of Yode release? Who knows? Continue. I mean, look at it. Drew punching Nazis till I die. Like, seriously. Punching him till I die. And they're calling the right the fascists and Nazis and stuff like that. But they're like I said, it's just proven what Charlie Kirk was saying. I mean, and I seen like some of the footage of what happened. It was horrifying. I wish I didn't see it. But right before it happened, he was talking about this violence and stuff like that. And it just proves his point of what he was saying. Oh my goodness. But it says the Sucker Punch Drew Harrison statement. Brian Fleming, co-founder and studio head of Sucker Punch, confirmed Drew Harrison has been fired in an interview, an issue that was meant to be a clear combination. Drew's no longer an employee here. Fleming said, I think we're aligned as a studio that celebrated or making light of someone's murder is a deal breaker for us. It is a deal breaker for us, you think? And like I said, she probably said even more. She probably said just as much horrible stuff. I mean, like I said, because if she felt this way about Charlie and his demise, who else did? What other, right-leaning figures that she was probably saying horrible stuff about? I mean, she probably wasn't. I mean, outside of people losing their lives, she's probably saying a whole bunch of horrible stuff that Sucker Punch probably ignored. But like I said, I don't want to be too pessimistic and too negative. At least they did something with this because this person had to go. This is crazy. They say, I think we're, and we condemn that. Kind of in no uncertain terms. That's sort of our studio, and that's kind of where we are. Well, this is where every studio should be. Every studio should be right here. I mean, who wants to hire people who believes this type of stuff? I mean, basically just believing that violence is just the best way to solve anything that anybody that disagree with you, anybody that opposes your way of thinking. I mean, you can't have people like this working for you unless you don't want to make no money. Continue. At first glance, it's a rebuke, but the wording itself raised eyebrows. Fleming repeatedly softened his remarks with qualifiers like kind of and sort of, odd choices for what should have been an unequivocal stance. For fans expecting a lawyer-vetted corporate statement, the delivery sounded hesitant, almost improvised. It may have been. It may have. Most likely, it probably was because it takes you a week, to come up with this, to make this decision. It takes you a week to do that. So I mean, I think that Sucker Punch probably saw their, oh no, there was probably a lot of people who, I don't even, can you pre-order this game yet? I don't know, but like I said, a lot of people, like I said, most people, a lot of people are probably on social media. I'm probably the only person in the world who isn't. But of all the people on social media, they probably made their voices heard and said, "Hey man, we not throwing money at this, regardless of how beautiful and great the game might be. You know, regarding its predecessor, we're not throwing money at these people. I mean, this is how they feel about it, just because we don't agree with them, and you can't blame people for not wanting to throw their money, even if the project may be beautiful and great and fun and all that stuff. But it just, I can understand why people, like I said, it's a stance. It's a stance. I mean, like, I can understand why people, like I said, I don't have a PS5 and this is going to be exclusive, so I very much doubt I have a PS5 by the time this launches. But I just want to see what the outcome is going to be at launch. I mean, will it fail in terms of sales? I mean, who knows? But continue. Why did it take a week? There you go. I'm blind reading right now. I'm sitting there rambling, and it says, why did it take a week? Even more glaring than the awkward or phrasing is the timing. Sony confirmed Harrison's firing almost immediately, but Sucker Punch itself said nothing for days. During that silence, gamers flooded the comment sections over a Ghost of Yoda trailer and posts demanding accountability. The game's latest trailer currently cites at a stunning YouTube dislike ratio of 20,000 likes to 56 dislikes. Like I said, man, we are in a time of rebellion, and people are like I said, if once people discover that, once people once they, I mean, like I said, I mean, it's really a rebellion against corporatism and all that stuff. So once these conglomerates have these people that really state what they feel about you, people are like, no more, no more. Like it's just, all of these companies are just it's kind of like a domino effect, man. As soon as they make their ideology, or whatever you want to call it, once it becomes public, once it's put out there for the public to form an opinion about it, this is the outcome that you get. We saw with the whole Snow White stuff. We saw with the whole Bud Light stuff. We saw it with all these other companies with the Cracker Barrel thing. And I don't know. I think Cracker Barrel kind of went back and because like I said, I think they went back and they put the guy back on the logo. They they put the cracker back on the bill, as people was joking about. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's just that if it's not broke, it doesn't need fixing. And it just seems like it's just so many people that just want to tear stuff down, because it just seems like they're just so miserable and so angry with their own lives, or whatever personal battles that they're having, internal battles they're having, that they got to explode on the world and explode on everybody else. Man, it just, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure y'all understand where I'm getting at. It just, I'm sick of seeing it. I know a lot of you are out there sick of seeing it. Why did this? I mean, like I said, I mean, the political stuff, it has no place in our entertainment. It shouldn't be there. Oh, but continue. It says Sucker Punch finally posts the dislike surge as the ratio. Yeah. Only after a week of pressure did the studio speak publicly that denies that delays has left many questioning whether Sucker Punch acted out of principle, or whether it finally spoke up only after being cornered by a furious audience. Boycotts from both sides. And I guess these are a bunch of posts. And what makes this saga unique is that Sucker Punch now faces calls from boycotts from the right and the left. Like I said, I'm glad to see both sides of the coin seeing reason. I mean, oh man. But like I said, I'm willing to say that most of this coming from one side. It just is. Based on what that poll that I saw, I believe it. I'm sorry, I do. It says on the right, gamers are livid that a developer could publicly mock political violence in the first place, accusing the studio of harboring a toxic culture. On the left, activists are angry that Harrison was fired at all, portraying it as a capitulation to so-called right-wing critics and vowing to boycott Sony titles in response. It's a rare situation where both camps are furious and the game itself is caught in the middle. The bigger picture. Sucker Punch's belated awkward condemnation reveals just how precarious the modern gaming landscape has become. A single post from an employee can ignite a firestorm that threatens multi-million-dollar projects. And if studios don't respond swiftly and decisively, they risk losing trust from all directions. Exactly. Because like I said, most people, both on the left and the right, most people don't like delve into politics and political stuff. Like I said, we just want to be entertained for the most part. And like I said, entertainment is universal. It doesn't matter which way you lean. Like we just want to, play games and succumb ourselves to just immersion and just be a part of a great story. And like I said, we want to applaud, great art. We want to applaud. That's why we partake and watch it or play it or read it. And like I said, you just got these whack jobs coming in here and just politicizing everything. Like, and I'm glad to see there are people who may lean left are seeing reason. I mean, I was like, yeah, we may disagree with you people on the right, but we don't agree with this stuff. We don't applaud this. So good, there's hope after all, I guess. But it says, by waiting nearly a week and delivering its statement with oddly hesitant language, Sucker Punch may have only deepened doubts about its leadership. Whether Ghost of Yodai can overcome this uproar remains to be seen. But one thing is for certain, the damage is already done, and both sides will be watching closely. Oh boy. I'm telling you, man, these companies they gotta shaping up. They gotta shaping up, man. I can't remember which games that just really started, but the I don't know, ever since probably The Last of Us 2, like there's been kind of like this rebellion against studios, and even though people who The Last of Us 2, I mean, it wasn't it wasn't like this. Nobody wasn't hurt in the process. It's just that, I guess it was a new team that came aboard, and they just wanted to change things, the way that everything that they loved about the first game, and it kind of just went out of whack. And when the second game came out, but this is even more horrifying because somebody's life was taken from them. And you got people applauding this stuff, and like they said, the game is in the middle of it. But this is what happens when you hire these nut jobs, man. And like I said, this person is only one person, so who knows how many people who work for Sucker Punch who feel the same way. And I don't mean feeling the same way in just terms of disagreement. I mean feeling the same way for violent purposes. Who knows, man? Because I heard that there was a person who, for one of the Sonic the Hedgehog games or something, there was a person who pretty much did the same thing that this person did. So like I said, there's a lot of people that work for these companies, gaming companies, comic book companies, film companies, and stuff like that. They probably feel the same way. But the leadership of these companies and stuff like that, they just kind of it just seemed like they just don't want to deal with it. But I guess the people at Sucker Punch, the leadership over there, I guess they felt they had to say something. Is it genuine? Probably not, because like it's all about the bottom line. It's all about making the money. But it just sucks that a game like Ghost, especially the beauty and the greatness of the first one, it just sucks that this game is going to probably take a hit because of this, because of people who just are just mean and just hateful and stuff like that. It just sucks. It really just sucks. So I think there's going to be a, like I said, if not a boycott, people might just wait for a price drop, because like I said, I there's no doubt in my mind this game is going to be beautiful and just I mean, if it's anything like the first game, there's no doubt in my mind this is going to be a great game. But like I said, again, I know I sound like a broken record, but people are not going to throw money at people that hate them. They're not going to do it anymore. But like I said, I guess good for the leadership at Sucker Punch for doing something about this person, because you can't have something like that, somebody like that for working for you, because you ain't gonna make no money, because this type of stuff is gonna happen to you. People gonna boycott your projects. Oh man, but anyway, man, 31 cents at it. Another one for the archives. It's your brother Quiz Bleak signing out. Until next time, you guys. Us.